everybody. This is Janelle Ferrer with Waypointe Realty. Thanks for joining us on a new Waypoint series that's going to bring you real answers to real questions that you have regarding real estate. Now, with the pandemic of the coronavirus, there is so much information going around that we wanted to sort through. For example, 17 million plus people have already filed for unemployment as of late last week. Now, that number is expected to rise according to analysts. We know that jobless claims have skyrocketed in recent weeks, and you guys may be amongst those because we've seen countless restaurants, hotels, factories, offices, they've been forced to shut down to combat the spread of this virus. Now, even with the stimulus package on the horizon, that still won't be sufficient for many Americans to keep up with their mortgage payments as they face unemployment or even a salary reduction. Now, we know our government's working hard and long hours to make sure our housing market isn't affected with the overwhelming inventory and foreclosures that we saw in 2008 recession. Now, one of the ways is through forbearance through lending institutions, as well as the opportunity for deferment. Now, we have a special guest today, one of Central Florida's top real estate attorneys, Nishad Khan. Thank you so much for joining me, Nishad. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Janelle.
Absolutely. So let's start with explaining the difference between a forbearance and a deferment, because there's people that don't know either, and they've just been hearing forbearance a lot. So what does that mean?
So forbearance is usually the most common term that you'll hear out there. And what a forbearance essentially is that if you have a payment for any debt, including a mortgage or credit card, the creditor, the person you owe money to, and the debtor, the person who owes the money, come into an agreement that any payments that are owed will be pushed down the line and owed at a later time. Okay. And during this time period, interest may or may not be charged. You know, it's all up for negotiations, but typically a forbearance is the payments that I have to make now, I'm going to make them later on, either in a whole lump sum or as part of my existing payment.
And that's without...
Whereas a deferment...
Okay.
Correct. So whereas a deferment is where someone who has the ability to enforce their debt and has the ability to come after you is deferring any enforcement actions, essentially saying, I am not going to come after you, I'm not going to collect from you, I'm not going to request the funds from you, I'm going to defer that until things become a little bit more.
Got it. So a homeowner that's struggling right now with keeping up with their mortgage payments should be doing what? What's the first thing they should do in order to get a forbearance?
Okay, so the first thing a homeowner needs to do if they can't keep up with their payments is they need to call their lender and ask them what programs are available that you can offer because we are struggling to make our payment. If it's a government-funded loan, such as a Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, there are programs that exist under the CARES Act, which the lenders must comply with, which it forbear the payments and push them down for certain time periods, which can also be extended. But if it's not a government-backed loan and it's a private loan or a jumbo loan, then it's up to the lender to come up with a program and implement that program. Now, most lenders are doing this, but this is the first step, is to find out what options are available.
Okay, so
the second step.
Go ahead.
So the second step would be, once you figure out what options are available, it's time to analyze those options. What's the best option for you? Because these programs are for homeowners that are struggling in making their payments. But if you're not struggling, then perhaps it's a better idea to make those payments, because those forbearance programs push the payments down to several months down the line. And there may be a time where you owe all of the payments that were forborne or payments that were pushed down the line. That may be a big lump sum, and it's kind of like property taxes or insurance. A lot of people are not prepared to pay that big of a chunk, right. And it may be better to plan financially and budget and to pay that mortgage payment now, and either, you know, when situation gets really bad, then you can explore that option, or if the situation is already bad, at least be able to budget for that large.
You made a really great point that I think a lot of people may get confused with what a forbearance is. It's not forgiving your mortgage for X amount of months, in this case 90 days. It's saying, no, we're just going to put pause on it, but you are going to have to pay this in the future. So like you're saying, if people are able to make their mortgage payments, please continue to do so, especially if you haven't even talked to your lending institution. this is not an automatic, adjustment that every lending institution is going to do. I mean, people have to apply for the forbearance and contact their lending institutions, right?
Yes, that's correct. And there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of people who are claiming to be experts in these matters, and there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Right.
So you're absolutely right. A lot of people I've spoken to are under the impression that, you just get a free ride for the next 180 days and you don't have to pay anything. And
Right.
that is absolutely not the case. There's going to be a situation, or there's going to be a catch-up period where whatever payments that you didn't have to pay, you're going to have to catch up.
Right. Now, we would love nothing more than to help our homeowners keep their homes. And I know that's the priority of the government as well. They definitely don't want multiple people losing their home all at once and create, a panic. However, when is a short sale necessary, and what do those steps look like for a homeowner?
So, I mean, if there's a situation where, no matter what programs are available, no matter what the bank is willing to do, you just simply cannot afford your home. In that situation, a short sale may be your only option. And so what is a short sale? Well, a short sale is when you sell your property and the proceeds from the sale are not enough to pay off the existing mortgage, right? So obviously, if you sell your property and you make money off the property, you don't have a short sale situation, you have to pay the
Right.
lender. But if value has gone in that situation, you're going to have to go through the process of explaining.
You're breaking up a little bit, Nishad. If you can go back a little bit, you were breaking up. If you can explain again, just back it up just a little bit about the short sale process.
You're going through a short required financials. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so they would have to process it.
Okay, so one question I do have about the short sale, because obviously it's when you're selling your home for less than it's for less than what you owe on the property. So that hit. I know in 2008, because there were so many short sales and many of them took years to even process. What did that enable? A lot of forgiveness of the loan discrepancy there. What does a true, real short sale look like? If I owe $240,000 on my house, I sell it for $220,000. There's a $20,000 discrepancy there. Do I owe that to the bank later?
Right. So we learned a lot from 2008, and which is good, because at 2008, no one really knew how to handle a lot of the mortgage foreclosure crisis that we were dealing with. And now, as of right now, there's been no guidance as to whether the difference between what you owe and what you sell the property for will be forgiven.
Got it.
And so as of right now, the bank has the ability to issue what we call the 1099-C, a cancellation of debt income. But I think if we fall into a situation, then there's that issue, because the policy behind that, it's not fair to make someone pay taxes on a loss that from a property they had to sell because of this unfortunate circumstance.
Okay, so we can tell that the banking institutions, they're all trying to help homeowners keep their homes. They want open communication. If there's anybody struggling with that, they're willing to help. If they're taking a hit, I mean, I guess we still haven't seen what's happening. And I know your communication is a little glitchy, so I just want to make sure that I'm recapping what you were saying. What misconceptions do you find to be true in this market right now by so-called experts that are giving information that's not really accurate with what's happening?
There's people are taking snippets of the different rules and laws out there. The CARES Act provides a lot of benefits for struggling business owners and struggling individuals. I'm seeing the information provided being misconstrued. For example, it's a loan for small businesses, and it's a loan that can be forgiven later on, but there's certain requirements for that. People are treating that as free money, which is not the case.
Right.
And the forbearance and foreclosure and eviction rules, there's requirements there.
We're losing you.
Depends. I know there is a more to that one. So, the devil is in the details.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So the misconceptions, like you said, people are taking what they want from this. For example, like the free money. Everything comes with a price. There is a certain point that is forgiven, but I think people need to do a little bit more research and realize pay your mortgage unless you can't. And if you can't, speak to your lending institution. The loans that are being given out that are going to be forgiven, there's strings attached to them. A lot of them are attached to payroll and very specific things. If not, people are going to have to pay back those loans. Where do you foresee the housing market in terms of foreclosure in the near future?
Well, I mean, look, that's the $1,000,000 question.
I know.
And if no one knows the answer. And there's a lot of programs out there. The banks are being cooperative. This is, really no one's fault. And so everyone is working together. And, there may be a possibility where we avoid the foreclosure crisis that we had in 2008. And people are a little bit more prepared now for this kind of situation. So I don't think we'll see what we saw in 2008, but I think people, will determine that maybe they don't need that extra vacation home and that extra rental property, and maybe they'll have to cut some of the assets they have off, and in order to do that, there'll be sales, and there'll be buyers and there'll be sellers, and that's real estate. People are buying when it's a great market, and they're selling it when the economy is struggling. So I definitely think there's going to be movement, and I definitely think there'll be properties out there to buy as well. There'll be sales out there, but I can't predict what's going to happen with the foreclosure market. I think it's too early to tell at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. It's the $1,000,000 question. I keep telling people, I'm like, we're basically understanding where we were last week, where we are today, and possibly tomorrow, but there's no way we can even forecast next month. I mean, we're still in quarantine, we're still in lockdown, so we don't even know when that's going to get lifted. I've seen things that are canceled beyond 2021. So, I mean, there's so much unknown, but you're absolutely right. I think the lending institution really did a great job the last decade and a half prepping for the next, the natural real estate cycle, ebb and flow, to make sure that people wouldn't lose their house. And like you said, if people have additional properties, this is a great time to sell because there's still equity in them. So if they're like, I'm in a tight bind right now, there's no way I can handle all these mortgages. My tenant is not paying on this mortgage, so it's probably a really good time to sell it, because if not, I'm going to be defaulting, because there's only so long I can get a forbearance versus how long they can stay without paying for the rent. So lots of great options. Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of give of your wisdom that you have right now of things that you're encountering?
Yeah, so first off, I want to apologize for the communication glitches that you hear. It's we've all been working remotely as everyone else has, and it's getting used to, especially as an attorney, when we're still having clients that have issues and with properties and whatnot. So I apologize for in advance. But my advice, the biggest piece of advice that I can give to people that are listening out there is, don't jump into things. A lot of people made that mistake in the past, where they signed whatever agreement the lender offered to them and later regretted it because they didn't read it.
Okay, we stopped. The video stopped where you said, and later regretted it because
Whatever. Then inside the finances for your family.
Okay, you froze a little bit, but I think you were saying that people basically be careful not to jump the gun, I think is what you were saying, because I think it froze after people regretted it. So basically, don't sign anything to, be cautious, read through everything, submit it to an attorney so that they can look through it before you make any rash decision. I know everybody's trying to do everything possible so that people can maintain their homes, even if they're without a job, to try to help them as long as possible, or give them, great options that will still help them and their family. But Nishad, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know that being virtual is a challenge for so many of us, and we're trying to figure out how to do this in the quiet spaces of our homes, but in your case, your car. So I appreciate you taking the time to share kind of your wisdom and answer these questions for us in this time.
You're very welcome, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Guys, if you guys have any more questions, we're going to go ahead and post Nishad's website in the bottom, and you have all of our contact information at Waypointe Realty. If there's anything else that we can help you with, please feel free to reach out to us. You can message us, you can find us on our website, or give us a call. We're easily accessible. We want to make sure that we're here for all of your real estate needs. Okay.
Thank you so much, Nell.
Thank you. All right, I'm trying to end the Facebook Live. It's not ending it, so hey, everybody. All right, let's see. All right, good deal. Thank you, I appreciate it. Sorry about the glitches. I'm sure it's hard to record in a car. So
tell me, I mean, on your side, was it very glitchy or medium glitchy?
There were chunks that were missing out of what you were saying, so I was trying to summarize what I heard, or what I had a feeling you were saying to connect the dots. But I'll try to like figure it out on YouTube. So no worries. This is part of the whole virtual.
People have questions. Yes. Well, if people have questions, you can give my information. If you want to do it again, let me know.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Nishad. I think we're good.
Chanel.
Thanks. Bye.